Well, she did it. Cruel Summer, a little 4 years from its release alongside Lover, has finally reached the top of the Billboard Hot 100. This is Taylor's 10th overall #1 hit and the first song from the Lover era to hit this benchmark. To celebrate this remarkable achievement, I wanted to make a brief video talking about this song. Normally I dedicate videos to albums, but this song is truly a one-of-a-kind sleeper hit and possibly Taylor's best single ever. We'll talk about what we know about the song's conception, its initial reception, the DNA behind it, and how Swifties around the world got it to #1. How Cruel Summer was made. Cruel Summer is the second track off Taylor Swift's 7th studio album, Lover. Lover itself marked a new era for Taylor Swift. It was the first album that she released under Republic Records, as she had left her first label, Big Machine Records, in November of 2018. We'll come back to this later. As revealed by the vault tracks that we've gotten through Taylor's versions of Fearless, Red, and Speak Now, it's no secret how restrictive and controlling Big Machine Records had been throughout Swift's career. Just looking at Red alone, containing a couple of surefire would-be 2010s pop hits, it seemed apparent that Swift did not quite have the creative control that we believed that she did in the past. That's why I think Lover is an underrated record. It allowed Swift to really dictate, likely for the first time in her career, the contents of her records. She wasn't held back from recording the music that she wanted to release. Me, for all of the grief that we gave it back then, was a song that I know Borchetta and company would have never allowed to be the first single. Swift would have never been allowed to release music like Miss Americana and The Heartbreak Prince or The Man, which spoke to her political sensibilities. That freedom of control rings true for Cruel Summer. Produced by Jack Antonoff and Swift herself with a co-writing credit from Annie Clark of St. Vincent, this song is a 2-minute and 58-second pop odyssey that many argue was the best track on the whole record. During one of her Lover's Secret sessions, where fans got to hear the record before it dropped in August of 2019, Swift said the following about this song. "This song is one that I wrote about the feeling of a summer romance and how often a summer romance can be layered with all of these feelings of pining away and sometimes even secrecy. It deals with the idea of being in a relationship where there's some element of desperation and pain in it, where you're yearning for something that you don't quite have yet. It's just there and you just can't reach it." The final product is an electro-pop explosion of feelings over vocoder distorted layers, synths that sweep listeners off their feet, a hook that soars, and a bridge that ranks amongst the best of Swift's legendary collection of bridges. The DNA of Cruel Summer. Cruel Summer, much like Swift's body of work, builds off previously established motifs and ideas. It makes sense that the song has become emblematic of the Eras Tour because it captures swatches of Swift's history as an artist. If anything, it has strokes of all of her eras leading up to Lover. The country-like cadence of the couplets in the verse evoke her debut era and Fearless. It carries the sheer romanticism and diaristic honesty of Speak Now. It carries traces of the rich undertones of melancholic maturity in Red. It has the pop sheen and Antonoff touch of 1989. And it has a direct narrative connection to Reputation. I've always considered Cruel Summer to be a sister track or continuation of Delicate. The main reason I was mad Cruel Summer wasn't the lead was because it picks up right where that song leaves off. Delicate spoke to her anxieties of starting a romance in spite of her reputation and having someone love her for her. Cruel Summer, on the other hand, dials in on the desperation and pain of keeping that romance alive. I found it really funny that while Delicate has a calm, steady production with anxious lyrics, Cruel Summer has this energetic, chaotic production with cool verses that eventually give way to an explosive chorus and a truly unhinged bridge. Even during the bridge, you can hear the skittering synth. It almost feels like tapping on the glass. One song or influence I see no one seem to bring up about the song is Jack Antonoff's sister song to this, the underrated I Wish You Would off 1989. I brought it up in my video essay about that album. I Wish You Would is a prototype to the song. Just look at the song structure. They both follow an extremely similar pattern, even having a repeating bridge close out the song. You Always Knew How to Push My Buttons was 2014's version of I Don't Want to Keep Secrets Just to Keep You. I want to go back to Cruel Summer's verses in particular. They try so hard to play it cool. They paint this image that Swift is trying to convince herself that it's over and not happening. But that chorus in particular speaks to the feeling of being reeled back in. It's new, shape of your body, it's blue, feeling that she's got it. The way that she sings ooh, whoa, and oh, it's overwhelming. That last part where she's like, it's cool, that's her trying to come back to reality, but she's just so lost in this love. The bridge evokes Getaway Car, another Antonoff half co-produced classic of hers. It's ranty, it's confessional, it's a switch up. She's drunk in the back of the car, losing it after a night out. The "I'm fine but it wasn't true, I don't want to keep secrets just to keep you" is a hooky rhyme, but also a very cutting lyric. The imagery of her sneaking through garden gates every night just to seal her fate, it's proto-folklorian imagery. But the best part has to be when she screams, "I love you, ain't that the worst thing you ever heard." The desperation, the emotion, that lyric always gets me every listen. And then she launches us back into the chorus with "He looks up grinning like a devil." Narratively, that line is so key because it confirms to us that whoever she's singing about reciprocates. It makes that final chorus and bridge not anxious but celebratory. Instead of it being a dreadful thing, it feels victorious and cathartic. This switch up is one of Swift's hallmark storytelling techniques. It's partly why I think Love Story was such a smash, because she knows how to recontextualize the final chorus. She knows how to give us a satisfying ending. She ended up doing a similar thing on Betty in Folklore. Cruel Summer is almost a Frankenstein of Swift's best writing traits. That's why it was a favorite deep cut amongst fans, and eventually a smash hit with the general public, and why it ranks highly amongst my personal faves. The Second Coming and Resurrection. On its initial release as part of Lover, Cruel Summer peaked at 29 with no radio and just pure streaming and sales. Taylor was not the behemoth she is today on streaming. If anything, Lover's lack of a number one up until now was because Taylor was not a streaming artist, she was primarily a sales artist, at least in 2019. So how exactly did a deep cut from a 4-year-old album climb to the top of the charts? Well, we have to warp back to the past. A big point of contention behind Swift leaving Big Machine Records that we'd learn later on was them insisting that Swift could not buy back her masters. Allegedly, they wanted her to sign for another 6-record deal where upon each finished record she could buy back a previous album. She left, tears ricocheted. Swift bought back publicly, but the masters had been bought by Scooter Braun, who'd pawned it off to other people, and well, we know how the story goes, with Swift releasing Folklore, proceeding with re-recording all 6 albums, reminding the general public why they loved her to begin with, and having a record-breaking Eras tour. Echoing its track placement, Cruel Summer was the second song sung on the Eras tour on each night. It was actually amongst the most anticipated songs on the set list. It's to the point that Swift will actually be meta and do a little speech before the bridge, inviting everyone to sing along. It's almost like a religious experience, honestly, when you do it. It's like a prayer. It went viral, it recharted at the top of June earlier this year at 49. Due to chart rules, older songs need to hit the 50 threshold to come back on the chart. Republic and Swift's team pounced, releasing the track to radio later in June. Since then, it's climbed to the top of the radio charts organically while smashing on streaming. To help push the song, it was featured in trailers for the concert movie, but a final push on October 18th with the live version of the track and a remix by LP Giobi. That pushed the song over the top. As of now, there are no music videos released yet, and it's still slated to hit number 1 for a second week. Honestly, I'm just gonna close out this video by saying that Swift is truly the definitive pop artist of this generation. This single song's journey echoes Swift's staying power on the charts and in the hearts of fans. If you told me in 2019, or even last year, that Cruel Summer would hit number 1, I would have laughed, but here we are. It's Taylor's world and we're living in it. She's set to have the number 1 song, the number 1 movie, and the number 1 album, with the release of 1989 Taylor's version, which I'm going to cover. And that's a wrap. I had to make this video just because I have missed covering Taylor, and I wanted to do a little warm up before I cover the vault tracks and some of the changes that I noticed on the 1989 Taylor's version. As always, I'm so grateful for your support. Thank you so much to my subscribers, my members. This song means so much to me, and I know it means so much to other Swifties, so being able to talk about it for once at length is important to me. It also tempts me to do a Lover re-review, so watch out for that maybe. Who knows? But I hope to see you next video.